The last time a high-profile PlayStation published game got a huge glow-up was with Housemarque and their release of Returnal in 2021. It was the studio's first time moving into the AAA space, and the results were incredible. It took everything great about Housemarque and then it welded it onto a premium experience with a fantastic story and an even better gameplay. The big question is, can Helldivers 2 also make the jump from the indie stage to the headliner? As excited as we are about all of the great experiences coming this year, we're also hoping that 2024 will be a big year for our little outlet. We're trying to get to 15,000 subs, and we're trying to do this by cultivating a place without toxicity and focusing on the positivity of gaming. If that sounds like your thing, subscribe, like the video, or comment. All or any of those will help us reach our goals, and as always, be nice to your fellow gamer, but more importantly, be nice to your fellow human. Just like Returnal, Helldivers 2 understood the assignment, taken already successful and unique experience, and then grafted onto a premium product. Helldivers 2 still features the same satirical tone about patriotism from the first, combined with the bug blasting and friendly fire that can't be turned off, which became the game's unique selling point. However, the biggest and most obvious change is that Helldivers 2 has moved away from the arcade-style isometric perspective and is now a full-fledged third-person action game with in-your-face explosions and larger-than-life bugs. The transition to third-person has not only given the game a massive visual overhaul, but in the process has made the environment its own character. The vital role that environment now plays in Helldivers 2 allows for a much more strategic approach to missions, but it also leads to a lot more emergent gameplay. At its core, Helldivers 2 is a multiplayer game just like the first. Unfortunately, it still does lack a meaningful plot that could have helped give the game some longer legs, and it's definitely still not targeted towards the solo player. In the early stages, however, the game does feel more playable in solo, but in the blink of an eye, no matter how cautiously you've been playing, everything can be undone. The feature that I wanted to see added to the sequel the most was AI teammates that would have made the game more accessible for a solo player. AI teammates not only would have been a fun addition for solo players who just don't want to matchmake sometimes and have to deal with everything that comes along with that, but it also would have been good for the times when people either quit mid-session or get disconnected, and when this happens, the odds against you exponentially rise. Matchmaking could also use some quality of life fixes at the moment, because if you matchmake and become the host of the game, the only way to go back to solo is to either kick everyone out one by one or quit the game and reboot. It was also just easier to find games in the first by being able to search active parties and then joining whichever ones you wanted to. Just like the original, Helldivers 2 has a lot of carrots dangling back at the ship and multiple currencies for you to manage, which has become the standard for persistent online games. War bonds, super credits, samples are just a few of the currencies that you need to acquire, but luckily none are required to purchase, as just playing the game and completing missions will reward you. Helldivers 2 is an easy recommend for people who have a regular squad to dive into hell, as the experience when you're playing with buddies compared to playing solo or with randoms is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The visual overhaul, along with the return of MIDI audio and the introduction of DualSense integration, has created a strong sense of immersion that always leaves your blood pumping. The Helldivers 2 experience still feels unique today as it did in 2015.